Alright guys, it's bottling day. I got my bottles I just cleaned up. I still have to sterilize them though. And I got my equipment in the box with our beer. Now there's been minimal bubbling going on. Alright, so I think we are pretty much done. Now there's not 100% of the yeast is dead because obviously we still need a little bit of it. But I don't think it's going to be, crazy and there's too much yeast. So our fermentation is done. Now what I want to do is we're going to take all the stuff out. I'm going to sterilize everything. Well, I'll take it out and we'll take a look at the bottle itself. All right, so here is our beer. All right, so you can see we have our line up to here. All right, this is all clean, clear beer. We have a bunch of our sediment. This is our dead yeast that's at the bottom. And obviously a gross foam that's, at the very top. What we're going to do is, I just sanitized our equipment. I'm going to go over to the equipment side of things, show you everything, explain what I'm going to do, and then I'll film doing it. But basically, we're going to put a rod in here. The rod has a little black stopper on the bottom. What that allows is for the beer to go through the tube, but we're not sucking up from the very bottom. All right, we do not want to suck up any of this yeast. In fact, when you make wine, I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing here, is you don't get every last little bit. You sacrifice a little bit of beer so that you don't get the yeast in there. All right, because you want this to be as clear as possible, really. We're not looking for like a real hazy IPA or anything. As clear as this could be, the better. All right, so we're going to transfer all this beer basically into a bucket. All right, I have a cleaned, sanitized food grade bucket. All right, and then the instructions, they go on to telling us how to make like a simple syrup, mix it in with the beer, and then bottle it. I'm not going to do that. For consistency, and because of your recommendations in the comments, I'm going to prime each bottle with its own sugar. So I have a specific amount of sugar I'm going to put in each bottle so that there's not too much or it's not, improperly mixed, let's say. All right, so here is basically our instructions. You're going to fill the tube with water, use the little clamp. We're going to put that angled piece onto the hose and that little black piece on the ends. All right, it goes inside the bottle. And then when you lower the hose, it obviously uses gravity. And when the water comes out one end into the bucket, then it creates suction, which drains all the liquids from the container into the bucket. All right, and again, you see how that black piece works? All right, so this is going to go on the bottom of this guy. All right, so the sediment is left behind, but obviously around the tube, the liquid can be sucked through. All right, so we got our funnel, our tube, our clamp, which it doesn't really, it's not clamping it shut or anything. It's just kind of holding it for you. I don't think the clamp's super necessary, but anyway, I'm going to set everything up and we're going to do it. All right, guys, so I'm at a bit of a crossroads here. I like the advice of putting the sugar directly into the bottles. You can kind of keep that, I guess, I don't know, a little more consistent, I suppose. However, I'm fighting with this because I want to just do this kit and do the instructions exactly how they suggest. Now, the issue to adding sugar directly to the bottle also is that, I'm using table sugar, which is sucrose. And that's usually not what's used when you're making beer, right? They use dextrose or there's another type of sugar, and they all react different ways. So this is going to add a little sweetness to the beer. Now, this shows that they want you to take a pot, all right, and so let's say somewhere down here. They want 1.5 cups of water and exactly 2 tablespoons of table sugar. All right, and then you're going to make a simple syrup, essentially, and then pour that into the beer, mix it well, then pour everything to the bottles. So for the sake of the video and the experiment, and I may regret this, who knows, but I'm going to follow this exactly how it's supposed to be done, because if people get these kits and they watch these videos, that's what you're going to do. You're not going to alter from the directions. Now, once you get experience, you can do whatever you want. But for my very first time, I'm going to do exactly what they say. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to take 1.5 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of white sugar, exactly. And we're going to heat it until the sugar fully dissolves, about 5 minutes or so. Let it completely cool, because we don't want to kill our yeast. All right, and then mix it all together. All right, guys, so this is a little random here, but we happen to like All-Clad brand things. Like all of our cookware is All-Clad. We invested in a big set when we got married, and we got these measuring cups and stuff. And they actually make a set of odd sized. So I literally have a 2 tablespoon, and this just makes things even more accurate. So just gonna throw that out there. If you do a lot of measuring, a lot of cooking, it's kind of cool to get an odd size set of measuring cups. All right, so we got our beer on the counter. I have my hose full of water, everything's sanitized. I have our racking cane, if you will. All right, so now we're going to put the sugar, which is inside of our bucket. All right, and I have to make sure that's completely cooled, which I believe it is. It's been about 10-15 minutes. That's it. We're just going to transfer it over. So this comes off. Okay. And actually I want to take our stopper out as well, so let me just pull it as one piece. Okay, airlock comes off. The cane goes down into our beer. I'll hold it to the side so I can kind of see it better. You guys might be able to see it on the bottom left there. Alright, and when I drop this down into our bucket, it should start flowing. Well, let's see. And there you go. We got a flow of beer. Albeit slow, but it's coming. I don't know if my head's in the way now. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see that. The beer is flowing in the bucket, right, as the level goes down. And again, when we get towards the end there, I'm not going to get every bit of liquid because I really want to minimize how much dead yeast follows. But we'll try to get as much as possible. Alright, getting close. And that's all she wrote. So cane, actually I can lift this part out. Make sure we get it all out of our hose. We don't want to waste any beer, right? Alright, the cane. Let me put that right in the sink there. Alright, so that's it. We got a bucket full of beer. So now I have to wash and sanitize a mixing spoon to get that all mixed in with the sugars, and we'll be good to go. Alright, so we got a bucket of beer. We're going to do the same exact thing, only now we're going to fill the bottles. Alright, I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to film because I'm kind of in the way. I don't want just a close up of my forehead. but that's it. We got to get this in the bottles. You can do this any way you want. There's a funnel here. You can use the racking cane. You can carefully pour it with the funnel. It's up to you. Just remember, anything you're using, just make sure it's sterilized, all right? So you don't get any foreign bacteria or yeast or anything in there. All right, we're all done. That was kind of a pain bottling them. I did half and half. Half of the time, or for half of these bottles, I was using the racking cane with the tube. It was a little bit of a pain. The little clip they give you isn't clipping it shut. It's just kind of holding it. So whatever. The second half, I just steadily held the bucket with the funnel. The only thing with that is you have to go really, really slow because obviously as you're pouring, especially towards the bottom, it foams just a little bit. So you don't want the foam, coming out the top, which happened at least 3 times. So that being said, all that work, and I have 8 bottles. These are 16-ounce bottles. The Grolsch flip top bottles are pretty thick. They're very sturdy. I don't have any real concerns with bottle bombs like these literally exploding. I am using a postal tub at the moment. Of course, it's going back to the post office. I have packages, that's why I have the tub. But I also use tape to plug up any openings in case for some reason they do explode. It'll minimize the mess. It'll still be a mess, but I don't foresee that happening. These bottles easily hold the quads and triples and higher alcohol, higher carbonation beer styles. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue. If anything, I'm concerned it won't carbonate enough. But we'll see. This is going to sit in a little tube for about 2 weeks. I have another tub that's going to go upside down on top of this, just so that, you know, it's enclosed here. And that's pretty much it. I'll give you an update in 2 weeks, unless something happens before then. But there it is. I can tell you that with the little bit of beer that was left, I did taste it, just out of curiosity, and it's flat for sure. It should be flat. It's pretty sweet, but again, that's because there's still a little bit of that fresh syrup that's in there. That's going to obviously turn into, I mean, some of that sweetness will stay, but most of it is going to go into the carbonation. But yeah, it tastes like beer. It tastes kind of like a Heineken. Not quite the same thing, but that type style. It's a Belgian, you know, kind of a, I don't know, maybe in between an ale and a Pilsner, something like that. But yeah, it's definitely beer. So we'll see. We'll see when it's all done, when it's properly carbonated and ice cold out of the refrigerator. We'll see how good it is. But when I do open these, I'll open them outside, because the other concern for bottle bombs is they look fine, but there's a lot of pressure built up, so that when you pop the top or open them, it just, like it's a geyser. It just shoots out all foam, and there's no beer left. Makes a massive mess. That's also a bottle bomb. They don't have to actually break. So we'll see. But again, I think the risk for that is pretty low. But, you know, time will tell. So I'll see you in 2 weeks, and maybe we'll do a little taste test. I do want to do a taste test with the guy at the beer distributor. I mentioned that before, so we'll see. I don't know. I might test it here first just to make sure, so I'm not wasting his time giving him, you know, some horrible beer, but, or something that doesn't even taste like beer. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching. See you guys tomorrow, actually, with a different video. It won't be about this beer, but it'll be about something. So catch you tomorrow.